Part 14. After My Death, the Villain Blackened Again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 132. The wet touch made Bai Ji's eyes wide open. To his surprise, it wasn't a snake head or dragon head close at hand, but a girl's face. Too close, he couldn't see the girl's features clearly, only the girl's watery eyes and long eyelashes. At such a short distance, his heart subconsciously flew up. He raised his arm subconsciously to push. But his arm was weak because he had been holding Xiao Beilong's body all the time. When he pushed the girl's arm softly, he was put on the girl's waist. The young girl laughed softly, her eyes were raised, and she was so cute and charming, as if she was delighted by his urgency. Her eyes were too aggressive, and Bai Ji didn't even dare to confront her at this moment. He wanted to drop his head, but the young girl's soft tongue ran into his mouth for a moment. The smell of Xingxiang instantly filled Bai Ji's mouth, and then spread to the 5 internal organs. He touched the fingers on her soft waist, feeling the softness in his palms, and the sweat gradually wet his palms, so that he suddenly had no courage to push away. He didn't know when his clothes were gone. Being oppressed by her like this, he was forced to cling to her tightly, and her soft body was all attached to him. So tender and soft, he felt like he was on fire, but her body was cool, so that his body was close to her, and he was reluctant to move away. She bit his chin, her eyes gleaming, and she was charming. Her lips are gorgeous, just like the flowers that have soaked up in the morning, tender and delicate, blooming against the rising sun, make people want to take a bite. She didn't speak, but her eyes waved, just glanced at him, and let the whole man who was unwilling to fall into the charm of her eyes. He didn't know that his eyes had been filled with sex. Throat rolled unknowingly. Not only the palms, but the whole body was on fire. The fire burned, without any reason. Only the desire to vent was left. He bowed his head, kissed her lips rudely and clumsily, rolled over and pressed her under her. He had almost no skill at all, relying on his body instinct and brute force, he just wanted to toss out the burning magma in his body. Yan Ji doesn't like being oppressed by anyone. Of course, she doesn't mind giving this guy some sweet taste before oppressing others. So after the first rap was over, Yanj turned over and became the one who took the initiative. Whenever Bai Ji's body was weak by her toss, Yanj would feed him some keel flowers unique in Shenlong Valley, which could make people instantly energetic. One person and one dragon seemed to be connected as one, intersected and intertwined, regardless of day and night, never separated. It wasn't until Yanj felt that he had a new life in his body. Every day and every night of movement, Bai Ji's eyebrows were dark, but the 2 eye circles were black and black. These days, he seems to have lost a lot of weight. Yan Ji felt so distressed that he touched his face, it's hard. Bai Ji didn't feel hard at all. His life opened a new door, which made him forget all the lofty aspirations of the world. Now, he just wanted to crawl on her, and has been. Chicken, I think I have fallen out of favor recently, no one is chatting with me, I can only play referral tickets, come and come, who will give me this single chicken a referral ticket to play? After My Death, the Villain Blackened Again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 133. But did not wait for Bai Ji to continue to capture the Yanj and press it under her body, and the Yanj turned into a dragon's paw and threw Bai Ji on her back, leaping towards the other direction of Shenlong Valley. There is also a beast pen in Shenlong Valley, which contains countless beasts for cooking. Although the dragons in Shenlong Valley are gone, these beasts are still alive and well. Yanj caught 3 beasts and grilled them, one handed to Bai Ji, and the other one ate it by himself. The remaining one was eaten by the bricks without her greeting. Bai Ji did not expect that he would be such a bird and beast these days. Although he is a demon with great ambitions, but he never planned the last thing. Moreover, he never expected that the last dragon was much more interesting than riding a dragon. Little Bailong became a girl again, wearing a white skirt, walking around the fire, like a white butterfly dangling in front of him, making it difficult for him to ignore. Bai Ji held a barbecue stick in both hands and secretly choked Yan Ji several times. Yan Ji still looked at him with a doubt in his face, and he was embarrassed, and he said, "Before, I didn't expect it." Gaze stopped on the whitening skin on her neck. Bai Ji hurriedly lowered her head, and then said without waiting for the words to say, "Since this has happened, you will be my woman in the future." Thinking of her soft body, his heart was about to move again, and he simply looked up at her. "I will be the existence of the demon king in the future, and the entire Xiaoxian realm will be subject to my feet. Although she is a super dragon, he is not bad. Since you are my woman, I will protect you from being bullied by others." It seems as if she needs him to guard. But you have to listen to me. Song. This guy is still talking more and more vigorously. She pointed to his meat. "The meat is cold and not tasty. Eat the meat first, eat it quickly, don't be robbed by the small brick." Bai Ji was really hungry. Thinking of the fierceness of Xiao Brick, he heard that he looked down and went to eat meat. After taking a few bites, he remembered what it was like, looked up to Yanj and said, "Don't let the small bricks fall on my hair again." Words, "Okay. You too, don't hang it around my neck." Yan Ji blinked, "Okay. Out of the future, you are not allowed to talk without me." Yanj, "Okay." Bai Ji was satisfied. He didn't finish a piece of meat, and he fluttered to Yanj again, pressing Yanj proudly to ask, "Look at you for such a good thing, and then the master rewards you." The rhythm is that she is in control, and the overall situation is that she is arranging to make him cool, and she is rewarding him. However, Yanj does not care about such words, so it is not argued. She was pressed by Bai Ji, and for a while she didn't know whether she would refuse or not. After all, this guy's technology was really good. With cubs in her belly, naturally there is no urgency. The whitewashed food marrow knows that it doesn't think about it, and is very addicted to it. Yanj did not refuse to the end. He was about to pounce, and she didn't dodge, but she slowed down the pace and practiced the exercises to teach him the experience. After all, maybe he will continue to use it in the future. He has a bit of experience, and she also benefits. The demonized Bai Ji is actually more like a little wolf dog, young, wolf-footed, and easy to adjust. With such a little wolf dog beside him, Yan Song's days in Shenlong Valley were not lonely at all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 134. The little wolf dog that has just opened has no lower limit on eating meat every day, and even learns a lot of new ways of doing things by himself. Of course his own little wolf dog has to be petted. Yan Ji really doesn't mind playing with him. Of course, Bai Ji didn't know Yanj's mind. He fought every day on Xiao Beilong, and he always had the illusion that he had conquered the fairyland. Whenever she eats and drinks enough, she cuddles lazily in her arms, cuddling, and the corners of his mouth will rise unknowingly. Sleeping in a dragon, it is still such a soft and beautiful dragon, inside and outside, look good everywhere. Not only good looking, but also comfortable to touch, never tire of it. He felt that if she looked at her like that for the rest of her life, she wouldn't look tired. Looking at it, he couldn't help but continue to touch. Feeling, he couldn't control the power of his famine, and wanted to have an extreme sport. Yanj didn't mind playing with him at first. But slowly, I found out that this guy was addicted to play, and almost spent some time on it. The dissatisfaction of always being awakened by this guy's hand during snoring. She simply turned herself into a dragon. The dragon-shaped song Bye Bye likes it too. I like it. He was excited when he saw the dragon. After all, his woman is a dragon. The only dragon in the world. It's so proud to get on the train. On the dragon? As soon as this thought came out, Baiji's heart suddenly burst into blood. I haven't tried playing Bazi of the dragon, rubbing my fists, touching the dragon scales of Yanj one by one without talking, and also finding the sensitive points of Yanj when in the dragon shape. He even climbed up to the dragon body, sexually wanting to be a dragon. But then, a brick smashed over his head and smashed him from the dragon. Baiji found a new mountain to be conquered. He persevered, and often sang the dragon, and immediately jumped up with enthusiasm. But every time I was stunned by bricks. This kind of good thing is interrupted, it is personally intolerable, so Baiji often blows his pillow beside Yanji. Xiaozu bullied me. I smashed my face today and almost did not look disfigured. I see a practice here. It me every time. Xiaobai, did this guy treat you like this before? To hate. Yanj touched his hair. The bricks were more severe to her than the dialogue, and the guy directly sucked a big tree into bean sprouts. On the hatred of slabs, Baiji couldn't compare with her. It's really hateful, Yanj said. Xiao brick is greedy. You can roast more meat for it, and maybe it won't treat you like that. Baiji didn't believe it at all. He used various foods to seduce bribes in private and wanted to adjust the bricks. However, after eating this food, he turned his face and refused to recognize anyone, and never looked at him to treat him better. Yanj threw Baiji, who was so angry, on his back. Go, I'll take you to see the scenery in the valley. To say that it is to see the scenery, in fact, is to carry this guy on a roller coaster. Because each time he swayed into the sky a few times, the little wolf dazzled into a quiet beautiful man. This time, of course, is no exception. When heaven entered the ground, Baiji crawling on Yanj kept screaming. When the two of them fell back to the ground, Baiji with a pale face was sitting there. Son, coquettish. He certainly didn't have the energy to do anything more. Yanji finally calmed down for a while. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 135. The chicks are very happy to see the harmonious picture of one person and one dragon. The loneliness and emptiness that have recently arisen are filled by this one-on-one war of dissonance, and the eyes are open every day, for fear of missing a little bit of good drama. When the imaginary drama came into play, the chicken regrettable. He nested on a high stool, combed his feathers with his mouth, and mumbled, "It's time to sleep like this, and if he sleeps like this, he can definitely detect the situation." Saying nothing. With 3 facets with the Mighty One, she initially thought that she knew the character of Mighty One very well, but now she is more and more uncertain. For example, this time the demonized Mighty One, what he did, and all his thoughts are so wonderful. After the demonization, there is not even a shadow of Bai's Hizun. And she could feel that with each time she was happy with her, the magic of Baiji's body seemed to be getting weaker and weaker. Maybe, it won't be long before Baiji's demon is gone. Will Baiji no longer demonize become the former Baiji? After coming out of the Dragon Valley, I will ride on you when I go out. Bai's Hinian, who eats meat, stunned himself and imagined countless pictures. Going out, you have to help me barbecue. After you go out and help me hunt down those warcraft, I want to eat those magic core upgrades. I will fight against those who are hypocritical. You will stand by my side and support me unconditionally. Every time when riding a dragon is unsuccessful, but he is forced to sing under the words and cannot resist, the wronged Bai's Hikong speaks a lot of words. In response to Baiji's naive thoughts, Yanj's response was, okay. If he was willing to give up the heroine to be with her, she would not mind spoiling him unconditionally. About because Yan Ji responded to him okay unconditionally every time, while Bai Jiao also had some small dissatisfaction. He always felt that the way he got along with this little white dragon was strange. But this kind of thought didn't last long. The kiss of Yanj fell on his brows and ears, on his neck and chest, and those thoughts in his head collapsed into a desire to rush to the sky. I thought this place was isolated from the world, and there would be no outsiders to bother, but after a long while, one person, one snake and one brick, leisurely contented themselves, a human broke into the Dragon Valley. As the only Shenlong remaining, today's Song of Songs is regarded as the patriarch of Shenlagu. Someone broke in, and she discovered it as soon as possible. And the intruders still knew each other. The hero and the hero are worthy of being the hero and the hero. There is no way for the host. Xianglinger and Yehanshang also broke into the Dragon Valley by accident. The male and female dominated the sky, and the place where they landed in Shenlagu happened to be the Shenlong Pavilion where various dragon arts and magical tools were placed. When the Song of Songs appeared there, Xianglinger was taking Yehanyu into the Shenlong Pavilion, and he was happy to put some magical skills into his own storage bag. When you take these things, don't you ask if these are the things of the Lord. As soon as the voice came out, Xianglinger and Yehangzi watched vigilantly to the song that appeared before them silently. This must be the Dragon Valley, Xianglinger said in a faint song. Shenlong dragon had been extinct thousands of years ago. Are you a spirit beast of Dragon Valley? Baiji, I always find it strange. I feel that there is something wrong with the sleeping position of that dragon, do you think? After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 136. In many mysteries, there are some beast guardians left by the owner of the mystery. But even if a spirit beast can transform into a human, it is an beast after all. Therefore, the appearance of Yan's song, Xianglinger did not look at it. Without waiting for the song to speak, Xianglinger continued, now there is no Shenlong, these things will only be buried here. If you are cultivated by a fate, you can carry them forward. You are the spirit beast here, and it is normal to protect it. Rest assured, we will not destroy everything here, just take away what we want. Saying the words of the robbery so shamelessly, Yanj encountered it for the first time. Her eyes narrowed for a moment, her face filled with joy and sorrow. Get out. Yehaner next to Xianglinger stepped forward to protect Xianglinger behind him. He slowly pulled out the bone sword in his body. Once the bone sword came out, the breath of the dragon spread out in the bone sword. The song was a little stunned. Yehan's bone sword was made of dragon bones, and the dragon soul was imprisoned in it. As a Shenlong, this kind of thing is totally intolerable. Yanj turned into a white afterimage rushing towards Yehanyu. Inheriting the power of the blood in the Dragon Valley, Yanj is not the three-legged cat that turned into a snake. Of course, the male and female masters can now enter the Dragon Valley by accident and have a higher level of strength than in the past. Yanj originally wanted a paw on Yehanyu's face and took Yehanyu's keel sword in his hand. Unexpectedly, she just reached out and spontaneously appeared the guy in the hand. So when he reached out, he smashed countless bricks and hit the man's face. The speed of Yanj was too fast. When Xianglinger reacted, the main character's nose had been crooked. She looked cold, and slammed the keel whip into Yanj. Keel whip is made from dragon's spine. Not to mention the difficulty of refining. In order to have strong lethality, the dragon soul attached to the dragon's spine must not only be sealed on the dragon bone whip, but also the dragon soul must excite the greatest evil spirit, and then sealed at the last moment. From the perspective of Xianglinger and Yehanshang, Yanj is the spirit beast in the Dragon Valley of God, and he will definitely be afraid of dragon spirit, so he will take out the instruments they made with dragon bones as soon as he shot. But I didn't expect that the yin and yang were wrong, but angered the words. Yanj, a dragon, can sense the sealed and painful roaring dragon soul as soon as the night cold dragon sword and Xianglinger's dragon bone whip appear. Originally, the hero and heroine did not have much resentment. At this moment, there are even those who want to skin and cramp the hero and make them both into a magic weapon, so that they can taste the kind of time when they cannot be reborn. Pain of. Yanj didn't even turn around, the brick in his hand had hit the hostess's face. Hit people but not face. It can be said that the faces of the male and female protagonists have always been used. Her divine dragon's coercion is powerful, and even without other moves, she can completely suppress these two people. Of course, she never thought that a brick would slap people to death, and she was disgusted to the extreme, so she thought about slowly grinding the blunt knife to make the two men tortured to death. There is no end to the song's golden finger. The female finger's golden finger is even more violent than the song. Xianglinger, who clasped her lips, stared at the song with a grim expression. The two of us just came here to make a circle. Just leave, but your beast/birth wants to kill us. You are not kind, don't blame me for not keeping you alive. The next moment she burst into place in the air and turned into a glittering longsword with various Buddhist runes running towards the song. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 137. Since Bai Ji took away all her magical spirits last time, Xianglinger has been enlightened by the Buddha. It is difficult to cultivate the Buddha's Taoism, but once he has achieved success, the challenge of the next step is not a problem. And after she practiced Buddhism, she also practiced sentimental Kendo. Both the Buddha and the sword were combined. Today's heroine, in the world of cultivation, no one dared to confront her. Yan Ji's body slightly avoided, holding the brick to meet the female sword, which was full of light. A beautiful woman holding the bricks flying up and down against the enemy. This picture is a bit counterintuitive, but at this time the words can't control so much. In the next moment, the brick smashed into the sword body of Xianglinger. The golden light of the Buddha instantly snarled away like countless pinpoint mai mang, while Xianglinger turned into a humanoid shape and fell to the ground. She was spit out of blood with her head covered with blood. When Yahanyu was surrounded by those golden arms, the dragon bone sword in his hand pierced the heart of Yanj. Yanj leaped into the air to avoid the sword of the night cold. Bai Ji appeared at this time, and the black gas wrapped around him rushed to Yahanyan directly. Dare to hurt my woman, find death. Yahan's Hang attacked Yanj with all his strength, and unprotected, someone would sneak in behind him and was stabbed in the chest by Bai Zi's sword. Master, Xianglinger screamed, Master, he is Xiao Ye, these days he has been caring for me, how can you hurt him? Xianglinger got up and rushed to Bai Ji, holding his palm with Bai Ji's heart, which he wanted to get out of Yahanyu's heart. She looked up, staring desperately and resentfully at Bai Ji. Master, Master, how can you do this? Xiao Ye, everything he does is for me, this woman wants to kill me, if you want to be angry for this woman, then just kill me, please, let me let the night go. She broke down and cried, Master, do you really want to kill me? You said before that I'm your beloved apprentice. Do you really want to kill me for this demon girl? Master, how did you become like this? Oh, I want the master, master, master who loves me most. Xianglinger cried, holding Bai Ji's thigh, and she was covered with blood, and her face was even stained with blood. The crying woman holding Bai Ji's thigh was miserable. Bai Ji didn't move. He lowered his head and looked at Xianglinger. The blood redness in his eyes faded a little, and turned into normal, ancient black. The little bit of black gas left in his brows was completely dispersed in the cry of Xianglinger. For a long time, he reached out and touched Xianglinger's head. A sigh included helplessness and distress, get up. The words were off, and it seemed that this reminded me of the standing song. He turned his head and looked at his words with a smile. Su Xian's eyes were too hot, and Su Shi remembered what Yanj had done with the demon in his body during this time. He looked slightly, and swallowed back when he reached the mouth. Yan Yan raised his eyebrows and asked him, "What?" Baiji's fingers trembled. He looked down, covered the emotions in his eyes, and asked her softly, "Can you let them go?" "Can." Unexpectedly, Yan Ji responded so bluntly. Baiji looked up slightly, and his eyes were unconcealed. Reached out, put the dragon's bone whip on the ground and the dragon's bone sword in Yehanyu's body into the palm of his hand, and said, "It's just that these two artifacts are not only made of dragon bones, but also sealed the dragon soul with cruel curse. Give them again. After my death, the villain blackened again." Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 138. The voice of Yanj's voice was mild, as if she was explaining to dialogue why she wanted to take away their instruments. When she looked at him, her eyebrows still had a gentle smile. This smile made Baiji inexplicably familiar, but at that time, he didn't think too much. "No, Xianglinger on the ground has fed Yehanyu and taken numerous elixir." After seeing the song, Yehan's keel sword was taken away, and she shouted, "No, my keel whip can be taken away, but Yehan's can't, his sword is his natal weapon. You already have it his half-life, if you destroy his instinct, you are no different than killing him." Xianglinger said, and turned to look at Baiji, Master, Xiao Ye's body can't withstand the destruction of his or her life weapon. The most important thing is that the destiny instrument is closely related to the person. Once the destiny instrument is destroyed, it means that the entire person's cultivation is also abolished." Baiji didn't look up. Xianglinger knelt and moved to Baiji's front, reached out and dragged Baiji's pants. She looked at Baiji with tears. Master, these days you have been away, always take care of me, others because I am your apprentice, because you ridicule me for ridiculing me, and even want to kill I, but Xiao, he's always there for me. I can't live without him now, Master, I beg you, please save him." Every time the heroine Luzi I was begging Baiji. It's like an infinite loop. And this time, Yan Ji saw it with his own eyes. The chicken was asking her, "Will Baiji agree? Where did the Baiji who haunts you for your pet every day go? Why does it feel that Baiji has changed a person now, and he won't agree with the hostess? Why? He's so unreliable." Yan Song did not answer. Happy with her, every time it seems to be helping Baiji's body purification, making his demon more and more weak, in the end, weak enough to disappear. This is the result she had expected. She thinks she has taken what she needs, so she has no joy or sorrow for Baiji's performance. Each Shenlong will be unconditionally good to his opposite sex. Yanj is no exception, even though Baiji has turned away, but she still divides this person into herself automatically. She patted Baiji on the shoulder and said, "I can wait for him to heal before destroying the keel sword." Baiji looked up, but in the calm, black and white eyes of Shang Yanj, he looked down like an electric shock and said, "Thank you." After a pause, he also said, "The lovers are bad and do not know the heights and heights of the earth. It is because I am not good at teaching. I hope the seniors will not be angry. I will organize everything here as it is." His words fell, Yanj's hand waved in the void, and the dragon pavilion, which was messy due to fighting, instantly returned to its original state, and even the few magical artifacts that Xianglinger had put into the storage bag flew back. Arrived in place. Bai's Hinian's redness rose, his lips moved and he wanted to say sorry to Yanj. However, the song did not bother him, but said, "There are a few vacant rooms at the foot of the beast pen. You take them there to heal. Shenlong Valley has a lot of restrictions, so your apprentices should not run around." "Okay," Baiji said, "thank you, senior." The words and songs that had already reached the door turned to him and smiled at him. You and I don't need to be polite. He didn't wait for him to react, she went away in white. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 139. When Xiang Linger saw Baiji's eyes staring at the departure of Yan Ji, she also remembered what Baiji had said when she attacked Yahanyan before, and her heart felt sour. Tearing Baiji's sleeve, she said, "Master, she is just a spirit beast here. What's the difference between a watchdog and a watchdog? Why don't you be kind to her?" Baiji's thoughts were pulled back. He heard Xiang Linger say this, and he frowned slightly, reprimanding, "How can I speak like this?" Glancing at Xiang Linger's body, he also said, "The Buddhism you have cultivated, everything should be accessible." Before he finished speaking, Xiang Linger interrupted him with red eyes, "I can't reach anything. As long as it concerns Master, I can't calm myself. When I think of Master because of such a spirit, the beast hurts Xiao Ye, and I feel uncomfortable when I think of Master speaking softly when talking to her. I knew I was wrong. I did a lot of things wrong. But Master, I can't help it." Xiang Linger looked up and looked at Baiji with sorrow. "Master, I see that you are so special to her, and my heart is very uncomfortable." The consciousness of Yanj can perceive the entire vegetation of Shenlagu, so even if she goes far, Xiang Linger and Baiji can hear her clearly. "Are you a little sad?" said the cub. "Why do you mess up your man with someone else?" Yanj turned into a dragon-shaped plate and hovered on the highest mountain in Shenlong Valley. When she heard the innocent words of the cock, she blew her beard and said, "What's so sad about this? He likes that woman, so let him chase him. The man who can leave me is not me. Man." This time she never thought about putting Bai to sleep, but Shenlagu had no opposite sex, so she had to do it. Sleeping with him, she can be responsible if he wants to. If he does not want to, she will not entangle. After all, it's just a matter of sleep, it doesn't have to be complicated. The chicken was a little puzzled. "I see you have been courting him during this time, you have never pleased him before." Yanj thinks that it is very difficult to find a creature like a chicken in the future. "I slept with him, but he also suffered a lot. To please him is to do my best to compensate him and raise his hands." Chicken, it makes sense, it's like courtship dance. But immediately, it responded that the topic was distorted by the words, so he immediately said, "Would, have you slept with him so many times, haven't you fallen asleep?" Yan Ji asked, "Emotions need to be managed with heart. Do I have the heart?" The chicken was speechless for a while, but it wanted to say that the heart would always grow out, but thought that the sole source of the hard work of Yanj was swallowed up by that brick, and it was swallowed by it. The chicken said with a bit of wonder, "But sometimes I see that you're quite drunk, especially when I'm with the mighty, it makes me think you love him deeply." Yan Ji narrowed her eyes, and her expression was full of joy. She said briskly, "Although I have no heart, but I am affectionate. When I enter the plane, I have the host's passion and desire." The chicken still couldn't understand this kind of thing. "Actually, I just want to say that you don't have to help this guy out of love. In the end, let yourself be in trouble. You can just clear it up." Thank you everyone for leaving a message and voting for rewards during this period of time. Why don't you have time to respond one by one, but I have a sneaky look every day. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 140. Without waiting for the song to reply, the cub sighed and said old-fashionedly, "Well, I am worried about you too. After all, we are on a boat now." The chicken has said so much, mainly because it has been lonely and cold recently. Especially when I saw Yanj and Bricks making noises, and no longer mocked it and taunted it. The whole chicken life was not very good. There is always the illusion of being abandoned. Yeah, Yan Song answered vaguely, squinting and squinting. She is too powerful now. Strong enough to lead to the destruction of the rules of heaven. So I have to suppress my cultivation at all times. The dragon egg was conceived in her belly, and the thought of the host's desire to grow the dragon tribe could be realized soon. The song at this moment was actually very satisfying. Xianglinga did not become a quiet and beautiful girl. She has always been a free-spirited person, and she has placed Yehanyu. When Yehanyu retreated, she took advantage of Beizi's attention and entered the animal pen. There are some beasts in the stable that can be eaten by the dragon. These beasts are food in the eyes of Shenlong, but in the eyes of other beasts, these foods are some highly threatening beings. Xianglinga entered the animal pen. At first, she was attracted by a rare four-eared lingering rabbit and wanted to chase. She had a trace of dragon blood in her body. Very helpful. This chase, she entered the deep forest of the corral. When Baiji found that Xianglinga was missing and found her, she was already in a coma in a crack in the ground. Baiji's body had the breath of the dragon that the word song had stained on him, and the beasts in the beast's bar smelled his breath and escaped. Baiji entered the slit and picked up Xianglinga, whose blood was comatose, and realized that it was a rather embarrassing thing. The exit was too small. Fortunately, he is a comfortable person who can't get out. He simply sits cross-legged and heals Xianglinga with his homeopathy. Xianglinga woke up soon. She opened her eyes and saw her in her arms. "Master, do you remember how you got me under the door?" Baiji didn't look down at her, but said softly, "Remember. I was hiding in the ground at the same time. My mother told me not to go out. I never went out. I was hungry, cold, and scared. When the master appeared, I thought I should be dead, otherwise why? See the fairy." Her finger touched Baiji's chin, and Qingling's voice was mixed with irrepressible sadness and grievances. "Master, you said that the avenue should be ruthless, you said that the cultivator should be careful about beings, so you only like beings and don't like me. If you don't like me, why are you so good to such a beast?" Baiji was asked by her like this. Her eyebrows were calm and there was no extra expression. He replied, "That's not for the teacher." "Yes, that's not him, it's a demon takes control of his body, and then he does those things." This sentence seemed to guide a clear way for him, and his eyes became more and more quiet. "In the future, it will never appear again." "Master, master, then you like Linger, please like Linger." Xianglinga suddenly reached out and caught Baiji's neck. She raised her head and kissed Baiji's lips. Baiji was undefended, and she would do so, and a Jiling turned his head and avoided her. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 141. Xianglinga's touch made Baiji really uncomfortable, and Xianglinga's lips were very cold, completely different from her kind of hot and hot. As soon as this idea came out, Baiji's heart shrank slightly, and suddenly his guilty conscience could not be added. He put his hand on Xianglinga's shoulder, and slowly pushed him away. Without waiting for him to speak, Xianglinga suddenly got up and burst into tears. "You don't like me at all, you never liked me, master. Why did you treat me like this? Why did you give me hope and let me despair? Do you know how painful I am? Love but not, do you know how it feels? It's like a million ants biting your heart, master. I hate you, I hate you." She rushed out of the ground and disappeared in a blink of an eye. Baiji's Hung was afraid that the beast here would attack Xianglinga, so he followed her far away until Xianglinga returned to the place where he lived. Then he formed an enchantment around the house. He didn't go in, but was far away, standing alone outside the enchantment and looking down. The chicken cocked his lips. "I hate this kind of man the most. If you like it, it will be like a man." Yan Ji said, people are different from others. Some people like to destroy them, some people like to wait silently, and some people like to wish her happiness. Human nature is very complicated. Human nature is sometimes not something they can understand. The chicks don't know much about it. It felt that one day it met the right female. The first thing it did was drag the female into the hole. After the female proves her ability by giving birth to multiple cubs for it, she will then let the female out of the hole. At that time, even if the female wants to leave it, the cubs will not have that kind of mind. If this idea of the cub is spoken, it is estimated that he will be sang and uttered animal/living. Yanj did not appease Baiji, who was standing alone and looked extremely lonely. In this time, she hasn't figured out how to help the mighty. At first she wanted to help the mighty to catch up with the heroine, but now she feels that a woman like a heroine is a victim of whoever is with her, or let the heroine and the male protagonist chill each other and let others go alive already. Except for the heroine, the powerful men of this life are basically existent without desire. Yanj couldn't think of where to start, just thinking about watching it change. She only hoped that she would not intervene, and that the mighty would not continue to be blackened, and would give her some time to strengthen herself. But for such a stop, Baiji stood for 3 days. Yan Ji could feel that he was not settled, and his breath was unstable, which was obviously an unstable mood. Always enlighten, so that this guy will not continue to think about it in this life. Yan Song appeared in front of him and asked, "Would you like to ride around?" The demonized Baiji likes to ride on her and cheer. Every time two people do that kind of thing, when she suppresses the demonized Baiji on it and cannot move, she will make the demonized Baiji feel a little upset. Each time, she would let the demonized Baiji ride her a few laps. Bai's Haiwanyan looked up at the dragon in front of which the scales were faintly golden. He remembered that she used to be white scales, which is about advanced, so the scales on her body will also change. Shook his head. He wanted to say that he wasn't the Baiji before, and naturally he wouldn't like riding her in the air. But the words rolled around in his throat without saying anything.